Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So today I have another Atelier Lusso pen to review here, and this was one of the pens that I received in an order. These are a custom pen order from Eric at Atelier Lusso in California. This is an Andromeda. So first of all, let me just show you, I received a lovely thank you card from Eric saying, "Dave, thank you very much, you rock." And I also received this lovely box, and it's a clamshell box, sort of like a faux leather plastic type box. So quite small, but then again, you don't need a large box for pens, and although I like large pen boxes, this is something I'm really starting to realize, because the more pens that I have, the more boxes I have. So, and the more that I want to store, and I don't have the space. So I'm actually quite pleased that this has come in a smaller box. So let me just open this box. It says Atelier Lusso here, bespoke writing instruments. Now you get a business card in here, so you can contact Eric if you would like to order a pen, Eric Sands, pen maker. You also get an Atelier Lusso sticker as well, or at least I did, and a polishing cloth as well. And then we have this lovely pen here, and this, as I mentioned, is the Andromeda. Let me take the pen out, take the box away, and I'll show you the pen here. Now this pen is a custom made pen, as I mentioned. The material I sourced myself. I was looking to do an order of 7 pens. Well, it was actually going to be about 5 pens with Eric, but then I had a great difficulty trying to make up my mind on what pen materials I wanted to use. I had a lot of blues and greens rods for pens, and I suddenly realised one morning when I woke up, when I was trying to finalise the order, that I didn't have any orange pens. And I looked through my collection of pens, and I don't have that many orange pens. And I like orange inks, and I like to match the ink colour to the colour of the pen. So I decided at that point I needed an orange coloured pen, and I was on a mission at that point, and I was looking through a number of different rod retailing sites that sell the rod blanks that can be turned into pens. I stumbled across this one, and I absolutely loved it, and you can see why. This material is absolutely stunning. It's like a fiery hell. The material is called the Vulcan's Forge, although, to be honest, with this kind of swirly orange, I've kind of nicknamed it Dante's Hell, because it does look like hell, or even maybe the inner parts of a volcano where it's spewing out lots of lava. You can see here with the swirls going on here in the body, it just looks sort of like an inside of a volcano if you're looking down from like a helicopter or something. So when I saw this rod, and of course when you're purchasing rods, they are for the most part unpolished, so you don't quite know how for sure the material will look once it's not only turned into a pen but polished. And I thought this looked quite spectacular, but I didn't realise that it actually looked this spectacular. And I think Eric did a really good job in mastering this material and turning it into a pen. So the Andromeda series is really just a cylindrical pen. The ends are pretty much cut off, so it's almost just like a rod, to be honest. And I just think that this kind of size and shape of the pen is actually quite nice, and I like that it doesn't have clips on, and I know a lot of people don't like clipless pens, but for me this is a really nice pen. I pretty much don't use the clips on my pens. I will not put pens in my shirt pockets or trouser pockets. My shirt pockets tend to have a phone. if I'm going to carry pens around, I will carry them around in a pen case, and I don't normally clip them into the pen case. Normally they have little pen sleeves that you just push them into, or channels. So let me just show you this pen in a little bit more detail. So I asked Eric if he could do some coin finials, and you'll see here that there is a lovely coin finial here, and it's an L for Lusso, and Eric has changed this more recently. He has actually changed this to a dragon, so that's just something just to mention. So if you do get a new pen from him, you will probably get a dragon finial, and these were extra, but the new Finials, Eric has increased his prices slightly, but he has included a lot more into that cost. So you get things like these coin Finials free. So I think that's a really good added value to the pen. And it kind of gives him a bit more branding as well, which I also like. So, but this pen you can see is absolutely stunning. You can see here, like the chatoyance that's going on here. It kind of really makes these flames, like it look like flames, like being alive, just as you would look into a fire. This material is really stunning, and I'm glad that I did pick an orange pen. It was almost on the 11th hour. I was nailing down which pens or which pen materials I wanted on which pens, and then I just suddenly realized I didn't have an orange pen, and at that point I had to discard one of the other pens, one of the other materials, and decide on getting an orange pen. So let me uncap this. You'll see here that this is a Joro number 6 nib. I got this with it's a steel nib, it's a broad nib. I do really love the Joro broad nibs. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know how smooth they are, and somewhat wet. Not fire hose wet, but wet enough to not be dry or slightly dry. Now, the Andromedas do have a little bit of a step down on the section, and I know that does worry a lot of people. And the section does come down quite thin, but it doesn't bother me. Like if I hold the pen here, if I hold the pen properly, my finger here or thumb is not touching the threads at all. And even if I hold it up higher, I don't feel that, and I don't feel the section there. So for me, this really is a nice pen. It's the sections are a little bit on the thin side. I wouldn't want to go, me personally, any thinner than this. This is probably about as thin as I can go, because if you see here the way I'm holding that, I really wouldn't want to go much thinner than that. I tend to like a little bit more of a thicker or a wider section. But likewise, I love this design where literally when you screw the cap on, you'll see there that the line there, the dividing line between the cap and the body, is almost seamless. Like, there you go. I love that there's no step down here whatsoever on the pen. So for me, that is perfect. So let me just uncap that again. I'll show you. This is a cartridge converter pen, and there you go. You can see it's a Schmidt standard converter, holds around 0.7 milliliters of ink. All of Eric's pens at the moment are cartridge converters, and I do kind of like that. Like, I have a lot of piston fillers or power vac fillers, but they are not that easy to clean. I know I've said in the past, power vacs and piston fillers are pretty easy to clean. They will take around about 8 or 10 flushes to get them clean, and then you have issues trying to dry them out. There's certainly more hassle than a cartridge converter, so I do like being able to go back to a cartridge converter now and again, and I do like that these are cartridge converters. But I know some people like pistons or power vac fillers as well. To me, I think the power vacs and the piston fillers are worth it. Eric doesn't do any of those at the moment, but he might do at some point in the future, or do a draw filler or something. But currently, these are cartridge converters. In theory, they could be eyedropper because they're plastic threads, providing there isn't any metal cap bands, which there isn't on these Andromedas. Now, you could also get a clip added if you wanted to. You probably could have this shaped slightly differently. All you need to do is talk to Eric and ask him what is possible, and he will work very closely with you to get that ideal pen that you're really looking for. And Eric's workmanship is really second to none. It's really good. I'm very pleased with Eric's workmanship on all of the pens that I've had from him, and he stands by the quality as well. If there are any problems, you can just let him know, and he will sort that out for you. So I really do like this pen. It's a lovely pen. I love the colour. I really do think this is a beautiful, stunning pen. So I think let's do a size and weight check on this. So in terms of length, we are looking at for the Andromeda, it's around about 142, probably about 142 millimeters in length. The cap is about 63 millimeters in length, and then if we do a check on the full part of the body to the tip of the tines, we're looking at about 132 millimeters, including the nib. So it's a really good size in your hand. And then we do a weight check as well, so you can see. And this is fairly full, pretty much full, inked up, about 3/4 full. So that's just over 24 grams for the entire body. The cap itself, pretty light at just under 8 grams, and then the body inked up, we're looking at just under 19 grams. So these are pretty good weight pens. I do like the weight on these. They are really nice pens. There's really nothing bad that I can say about this pen. I really do like them, and I think, to be honest, it's a testament with Eric's workmanship that originally I bought a Carina and an Andromeda from Eric, and I liked them so much that I bought another 7. So I think that in itself is a great testament to what I feel about Eric's workmanship and the quality of the pens, how the nibs write as well. And I like Yovo nibs, and I find that they write really well. And if I need to, I've got broads in this pen and my other pens, but I can always swap the nibs out for a different Yovo nib, to a medium or a fine or a stub if I wanted to, because they are screw-in nibs. So I think with that, let's do a writing sample. So this is the Atelier Lusso Andromeda, and it is a Vulcans forge. Now it is a steel nib, and it's a broad nib, Yovo nib, and the ink in here that I put in here is Sailor Gentle Apricot. And I love this ink. This is really one of my favourite orange inks. I have about 2 or 3, but out of probably about 15, and this is definitely in my top. I'd say 2 or 3, and it's probably actually in the top 2, if not the top orange ink. Now, in terms of line variation, it's a broad nib, so If I try to apply a little bit more pressure, it's a steel nib, you will see a slight variation, but not a huge amount. And you can see here from the figure of eights, and then a few more lines. At the end of the day, it's a broad nib, it's a steel nib, it's a stiff nib, or a rigid nib, so you're not going to get a huge amount of line variation. Now, in terms of wetness, let's see how wet this is. Now, orange inks tend to be more, and red and brown, tend to be more on the drier side of wet. Now, I normally say a fire hose is from at least half the page width onwards. This I consider quite wet, especially for an orange ink. It might actually be a little bit wetter if I put in a slightly wetter, more lubricated ink, but for me this is actually pretty good. I don't have a problem with this. You can see here there's a pretty good amount of shading going on with this ink as well, and this is another reason why I really do like Sailor Apricot. If you can't get Sailor Apricot and you like orange inks, then Sailor Kin Makusai is another good ink, which is almost the same as the Apricot. I think from this perspective, I really do like this pen. I love the ink combination in it as well. I think this is just a perfect combination. And I really like the pen. So I wanted to show you this. This is another pen that I'd added somewhat recently to my collection. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.